Hello everyone, and welcome back to my tutorial campaign for Realistic Progression 0, the campaign mod for the Realism Overhaul suite of mods for Kerbal Space Program. In the last episode, we flight-proved our new launch vehicle by completing an atmospheric analysis satellite contract. And in this episode, now that we have stability and early probes unlocked, which has the crucial thing, solar panels, we're going to go ahead and fulfill some satellite contracts. So let's look at what satellite contracts we have on offer. Position a satellite in a specific orbit of the Earth. That's a retrograde orbit. Is this one? This one is on this one. That's a decent inclination. That's a decent apogee and perigee. Has an orbital perturbation sensor on the satellite. That's fine. We can do that. Let's go ahead and accept that. And what's our deadline? 4 years. Okay, well, we certainly will be fine with that. This one is low orbit, but what is that if I... Okay, that's 49 degrees retrograde. And I really don't want to launch something retrograde. That's probably all told a 500 plus, maybe even 600 meter per second penalty. It's within our launch vehicle's capabilities, but it does mean launching over mainland Florida. And I don't think I want to do that. And these are all things outside the Earth-Moon system. We should check and see how long we have until our pad comes done. Tech. 86 days. So we need to do one more small launch, and then we can just launch normally from the pad. So let's go ahead and edit this. Now, given we have this, the launch vehicle we have, we're not actually going to need a controllable probe core, which is good because they're expensive. Instead, we're just going to go ahead and put some small solar panels on this probe itself. Yeah, let's go down to 7,200, 2 kilowatt hours. And now for sticker shock. We need to unlock these solar panels. They're expensive, $6 million to unlock. But, you know, it's something we probably have to pay. So, I'm going to go ahead and add them. Oops, come on. First, we're going to actually do this, so that we can make them nice and aligned. Then we're going to go do this. Then we're going to move these up. And lastly, we will replace the barometer with the experiment that we are required to have, which is the orbital perturbation experiment, which is right here. Come on. So another $2 million. And we will action group it, because we haven't actually used it yet, so we can get lots of science this mission. Record perturbation data. So yeah, this small satellite alone costs almost $1 million. But thankfully the contract's payout is quite high. So the next thing we're going to do is we will go ahead and exchange our measly nitrogen gas, cold gas thrusters for hydrazine, which cost $10 million to unlock, but is worth every penny because it's a great monopropellant. Okay, so next these, hydrazine, last these, hydrazine. And finally, the tank, we're going to get rid of the nitrogen it has and fill it with hydrazine. So, yeah. Okay, so we'll get rather more thrust, but much, much higher specific impulse than that cold gas nitrogen. Okay. I haven't actually used any subassemblies on this yet, which is weird to me. I've just been loading saved launch vehicles. So let's make a assembly for this. This is going to be the Scorpion B. Now here's a trick I do with subassemblies. So that no matter how many stages are in our payload, we add lots of extra stages here. Then we go ahead and plop it over into a subassembly. We'll call it Scorpion B. Now we put it back and get rid of the empty stages. Okay. So that concludes our edit of this craft, which we are going to go ahead and launch and try to fulfill that contract with. I did accept sounding rocket. No, I didn't. Okay, let's 190 kilometers. Yeah. Not going to accept the high one because we're not going that high. So let's warp to its completion. Roll it out. And now we need to align with the orbit. And we need to do at least 12 hours. Now, this is the orbit we want, the red one. The blue one is... Oh, that's another contract. Which way is it? Is it retrograde or prograde? So the blue one is another retrograde contract, so we're going to skip it. I don't like retrograde. So we need to make a line so that it makes one solid line. Now we just rotate the Earth until our launch site is under that line. And because I like day launches rather than night launches, we're going to go past the first window and take the second window. Also, so that we don't end up dropping things on Cuba, because that's just not polite. Okay, now given the rotation of the Earth, we want to actually launch a little bit before we're on that line. So let's slow down time, inch our way forward, and I think we want to launch right about here. Because the center of that dot is actually the launch site. Well, actually, I think we're a little far away. Let's try that. We can always wait it out on the pad a little bit. So, meanwhile, I will save the game, just in case something terrible happens, like it crashes. We'll go ahead and launch this. Let's look in map view. Our descending node, minus 46, but that doesn't actually mean much because we haven't launched yet. Meanwhile, we know that this is traveling that way, so we want a positive inclination, and we want a positive inclination of, I think it was 51, was it? Let's see. $51.1 degrees. Okay, so let's verify from map view one more time that we're right on we are on the track of the orbit. So let's go ahead and launch. And let's hope that MechJeb computes its launch azimuth correctly. It does appear to be. So we're looking for an inclination of 51.1. We will probably have to fine-tune it once we get midway through the second stage burn, because MechJeb isn't the best at trying to figure out what your the phase angle for your launch is, and how long it takes to get into orbit, how much of a change that will make on your final inclination given your launch azimuth. So we'll see. Yeah, we seem to be bit to the right of where we're supposed to be according to MechJeb's own darn thing. So let's try this. That's odd. So MechJeb is claiming that that's the target indicator, but it clearly wants to fly to the right of it. I don't quite understand. We can correct that once we get on the second stage. Yeah, I've swapped this over to 52. We can refine it as we go up. Yeah, limit AOA isn't on. Limit AOA is on, but it's not highlighting, which means it's not limited based on AOA. No, it's just this is the path it wants to fly, even though it's to the right of where it says it should be flying. But we'll see how this works in practice. Yeah, alright, so I guess actually it was right. That may be the inertial azimuth? I don't know if that's even a thing. Yeah, it looks like we're gaining inclination a little too fast. So, SEP and staging. We'll turn this down as usual. And let's increase the turn end altitude so we don't build up too much in the way of steering losses. We've passed the Kármán line. Let's get rid of the fairings. Now, let's look at our RCS drain rate once we turn on the hydrazine thrusters. So it's draining it actually at a fair clip. Let's see if it stabilizes to lower usage. That's good. That's good. Okay. Pin that. Turn RCS off, pitch up a little bit more. Just because we don't particularly want to go negative at all. There. That's damped out our roll fairly well. We've gone... Okay, so we're actually a bit to the left. So we launched a little early, it looks like. So let's try going right a little. So we're going to lower our inclination and then raise it again in a bit. Take our gimbal back some. Yeah, so we're definitely steering to the south of prograde, which is going to mount up some steering losses, but I want to get a little bit closer to our actual desired orbital track. Although I think a trivial contract, there's a lot of room to maneuver there. Okay, we've passed apogee. Let's pitch up a little. Our inclination is lowering steadily. Alright, so yeah, it looks like this thing actually has high enough acceleration early that we should have launched right under the orbital track, rather than thinking it would just take a while. So now we'll go ahead and raise our inclination back up to about where it's supposed to be. And extend the antenna so I don't forget. Zero out pitch. See if we need to do any science. We can do the gravity scan for above Earth's water science. That's good. Okay, so that put us... What exactly is our AN and DN with this desired orbit? 2 degrees. That's not horrific. All things considered, that's really not that bad. So I'm going to go ahead and make a node actually at the AN and lower that a bit. See if we can lower the relative inclination some. Which I'm not really sure we really need to do per se. And where does that put our... All right. extend that out. Don't want to actually do that much, so really we just need some radial. No, wrong way. Right way. 12 and 1533. That is close to our max. And then finally we'll kick up at apogee and raise that the extra 300 kilometers we need to. We probably don't need to actually change the inclination that much. Let's try with a bit less of a inclination change. Yeah, that... Well... Nah. It'll be close enough, I think. If necessary, we can burn the retros to get us higher. Okay. So let's align with this node. And we'll let MechJeb execute it. All right, so now we're ready to execute this maneuver. So we need to fire the ullage jets a bit. We're now very stable, that's good. Ignition. Okay. We appear to have had a successful burn. Also have to remember to do those science experiments when we were over different biomes. So yeah, now we need to create a... Yeah, we're aligned. So now we just need to burn at apogee to raise our perigee to where it needs to be. And what's the difference here? 1503 versus 1510. So we want to change periapsis to 1507, say. That only costs 58.7 meters per second. Conveniently, we have just enough for that. That's cutting it fine, if I do say so myself. But it did mean that we aligned with the inclination. Execute node. And we come out of warp. Come on. Out of warp. Fire the ullage thrusters. We're very stable. That's good. Ignition. All right. Now, I think that should let us complete the contract, but we'll see. Yep, it did. Good. Position a satellite in specific orbit of the Earth. You have done so. All right, so that's one satellite mission. Why did it just... Well, who cares? So let's align with the sun, which is going to be about, like, I think that. Yeah, that's broadside onto the sun. So when we spin up and then decouple, we shall have those solar panels getting some sunlight. So let's spin up. And we'll check that out. Yep. Okay. Now I think we've spun up enough. So now we're going to go ahead and set this to debris again, because this is 1.1.2, not 1.1.3. All right, so that's spun up. We get decent energy flow. Let's take a reading, and now we'll ride this satellite around a little bit. Let me just save the game, because we actually did have some good progress. So we'll ride this around and grab some biomes. And we should watch our electric charge trickle back up. Eventually. At some point, maybe. Maybe this is the one that it's actually applying. Oh, I think it's probably working on this. Yep, it's going back up. We are at positive electricity flow. Going over the water still. Whoops, I just missed some biome. Not really sure which. Where are we? We're... I guess I'll just warp to here. There's nothing between there and there but ocean. Okay, we're going to come ashore shortly. Yeah, up here at 1,500 kilometers, our orbital speed is already 670 or so meters per second slower than if we were in low Earth orbit. Like really low Earth orbit. So yep, in the absence of Science Alert or any other mod that I don't happen to have and or isn't ready for 1.1.x, I'm just going to have to be quick on the trigger finger. Watching that current biome indicator. Wait until it says shore. I think we're coming ashore soon. Yeah. Yeah, I think we are. All right, we're gradually making back our electric charge. So we've gotten water and grasslands, so we have a bunch of other biomes to get. We need to get shores, we need to get desert, we need to get mountains, we need to get tropics, we need to get highlands. Come on. Come on. Maybe I just have a crappy intuition about where we are on the globe, and we're still out over the ocean or something. But that seems fairly likely to be the US West Coast. Yeah, no, it is, because that's Hawaii and Christmas Island and stuff. Yeah. Hawaii and US and South Point. Yep. Whereas that is Vandenberg. We're in fact just about over Vandenberg right now, so let's hope we get some shore biome soon. Grasslands. Shores, grasslands. Did we? No, we got... Of course we got... Yep, we got only the biomes that we already have. Highlands, we can at least get highlands. There we go. Okay. Desert. We can also get desert. Because we are out in the deserts of Southern California. Now let's see if we pass over the Rockies. Should do. Yep. Mountains. So yeah, we're quite close to the orbit that the ISS is in. Which is about the lowest they can reach from Baikonur, but it gives good coverage of the US. So we'll go ahead and warp on up. Up, just missed shores again. Let's see. Missed shores again. Shores are very hard to get. Unless you just launch a sounding rocket, and then they're pretty easy. Okay, now we're crossing the Atlantic, I think. Oops, now we got shores again. Guess we've got some islands under us. Zoom in a little. Ah, no, we're right over... Ah, we're approaching Europe. Okay, and there's Hammergre. Yeah. Canary Islands. Approaching Africa. Okay, and I'm just traipsing along at varying levels of time warp. Looks like there was no shore there. We had grasslands and now we're back to water. Desert. Ah, we're over the Sahara. Alright, let's pass over the Sahara. So come on down. Back to the grasslands. Ah, I just missed tropics. Okay, now we're around Nigeria, I believe. Yeah, this would be much easier if I could actually see what was going on. Shores. Got it. Okay. Now we just have to see if we can get tropics. We don't have a high enough inclination to get polar. And I missed the tropics. Nope, I didn't miss the tropics. Excellent. All right, that completes as soon as this is done transmitting. That completes our science grabbing from the satellite. A highly successful satellite. Got us a lot of money and a lot of science. Okay, so back to Space Center we go. Let's see what other contracts we have on offer. A meteorological satellite with a fairly specific parameters. And we want to do some micrometeorite management detection. There's this one. This is another, what is that, 90 minus 152.9? That's a 74.1 retrograde inclination satellite contract. I really don't particularly want to do that. Alright, that's low inclination, but you have to have a film return camera on it. So why would you ever want it to be low inclination? That is so low inclination that we can't even reach it. That is a pure polar orbit. Polar orbit is usually the easiest because you know you can launch more or less directly under it and just head straight up or straight down. They're often easier to do than the medium inclination contracts. Doesn't actually require us to have anything on it other than the solar panels, decently low inclination, and gives us a fair amount of money. So let's go ahead and do that. And we could trivially complete it. Well, no, that has those limits. Yeah, neither of those we could actually do. So let's check once again how long until the pad is ready. 33 days. Basic instruction in 3 days. All right, that's cool. I'm cool with that. So this launch vehicle served us well, so we're just gonna go ahead and build another one, which is going to be Warbler 3. Well, by the time it actually is done, the pad will be up, so that's fine. Okay, and let's line up with the polar orbit. Now, in real life, a polar launch is outside the range safety limits of the Cape. You'd do it from Vandenberg, but I don't particularly want to build up Vandenberg as an alternate site on this, so I'm just going to launch from the Cape. And we'll more or less go straight up the US East Coast. So which side are we on? We're on this side. We just missed that. So we're going to wait. Oh, it'll be a day launch. How nice. Let's line that up. And oh, I haven't told it to roll out yet. Let's fix that. Okay. Now again, we have to do a little bit before the launch because the Earth's rotation is going to carry us eastward a little bit. So I think we want to be about there, just on the yellow dot. Okay, and which way is it going? It's north, so we're going to launch north. It'll take us right up over the poles. Oh, that's annoying. Apparently, we're going to have to wait a full 24 hours because the rollout is taking longer than expected. Oh, that's because the launch pad just completed, so it didn't start rolling out until now. That would explain things. So what time is it? It's 17:07, so we're going to have to wait till the 4th of November, 1953 at 17:07. Close enough. All right, now we want an orbital inclination of 90. And let's verify that we are in fact under the orbit. Yes, we're actually slightly past it. That's bad. Well, let's launch to 92 and we can correct on the way up. 93 actually, and we can correct on the way up. All right, let's watch as we try to get back to on track with that orbit. Yeah, we're further away than I thought we were for lined up. We were lined up in the tracking station. Oh, of course. I wanted a sidereal rotation period, not a solar day. So I launched 4 minutes later than I should have. Because, of course, the sidereal rotation period is 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4.1 seconds. That is a number you will know by heart if you fly geostationary missions. And in this case, came to bite us because we wanted inertial rotation. Rotation with respect to fixed stars, which is what that orbit was in. So, yeah, if we're zoomed out, it doesn't look like we're that far off. So we can correct this. We have spare delta V. It's not like we don't. $836, so we want 830. All right, now our relative inclination coming out much better. All right, we still want to... Whoa, that was interesting. That was interesting. Okay, so we had an ignition failure. Let's... There we go. Now we're back on target. Once again, I've forgotten to deal with this ahead of time. Let's dump the fairings and go back to watching our orbital line, our trajectory. All right. We actually want to come in even sharper than that. And we want to pitch up a fair amount. All right, now our trajectory is, yeah, it's coming in line, slowly but surely. So we're going to have to kill off some of that. All right. Pitch up even more because right now our apogee is quite low. All right, now I think it's time to start heading back the other way. Probably. Well, let's wait for it to get a little bit past. Yeah, right now our apogee is only there. We're still a good bit off plane. Inclination is past 90. We're coming up on apogee. So we're going to pitch up even more. Now I think we can just align more or less on track. Start lowering our inclination ever so slightly. As we slowly inch our way closer to that orbital plane. We're getting a good feed from Wallops in Virginia. Yeah, the AN is 4. That's expected because we've now gone past the inclination we wanted. And now we want to start burning south of prograde again, or east in this case. Yeah, now we want to lower the inclination back right on down to 90. We're still a bit off, but we're getting closer. Getting closer. Building up some serious steering losses, but we have plenty delta V. We can bring that down a little. Inclination's under 92. All right, I think I want to yaw even more. Okay, let's tighten up. Interesting, we had a failure. We might not actually make this contract after all. That's really sad, despite all that work. Yeah, we're not gonna make it. Okay, so we achieved polar orbit, but we're not actually going to manage the contract because we had an engine failure, which cost us, oh, probably like almost a kilometer. Well, no, about 500, I think probably 500 meters per second delta V. Yeah, because we were supposed to get like 9,900 out of it. All right, so that is a failure. It's the first failure we've had with an HA-10104D, but it still gives us a satellite in a useful low Earth orbit, polar orbit, because we can get science from the poles. Let's just verify that there's no new science there. There's not. So we'll discard our stage, go ahead and go inside it, set it to debris. Oops, wrong button. Accept. Accept is the button I want. Oh, we didn't spin this up either. And the solar... oh, that was stupid of me. I didn't actually align the solar panels with the sun. So, yeah, that's kind of bad. So we may run out of electric charge at some point. But we kind of don't care once we've gotten to the poles. How far? Let's see. It's hard to tell under the clouds where the land masses are, but I think that 13 minutes, 30 seconds. Not sure whether we'll have a connection at that point. I think we quite probably will. So let's just go ahead and warp to it. Or a little bit before that. And get grasslands. That's interesting. I thought we were high enough to get poles up here. That's very interesting. Space just above Earth's poles. And I was wrong about a signal. Interesting. We're in a low enough orbit that we're not actually getting a signal from that. So, I guess we'll have to go around again. See if we get a signal now. No? Aren't we high enough? We're at 220. That should be... Oh, no, it's just under the horizon. Oh, well. Yeah, we already have stuff from the Highlands, don't we? Oh, we're actually missing one thing from the Highlands. So that came out a bonus. How far away is that? That's 1 hour, 26 minutes. So let's put this in the flight computer. And we want action group 4. Okay, so basically any action group staging, whatever you want to do. You set the delay you want in here, like 2 minutes. You hit enter, so it's applied over here. Then when you press it, it gets added to the queue with that delay. So yeah, in 1 hour and 25 minutes and 35 seconds, that will trigger. So let's warp to 1 hour and 20. Warp here. And of course, this time around we have a signal, so it doesn't even matter. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And then cancel that, because we don't need it. And get all these other things from the poles. Now, tragically, we didn't actually build a backup this time because I thought it would work. So I have to go back into the VAB, build another copy of it. World War 4. Now, yeah, wait, 9981, we expended like 9,400. Yeah, so it was about, yeah, my rough estimate was. And unlike last time, we will build a backup. Okay. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for all this other stuff, it may well be worth unlocking the Aegina and getting our engineers to start researching it. Because I think I've been thinking about what launch vehicle to build next, and I think it will be something with 2 LR-79s and then a twin Aegina engine upper stage that can then take this as a third stage that will be enough to send some serious tonnage to the moon. Or if not that, it will be able to launch a capsule. Just barely, but it should be enough. We're going fairly minimalistic this campaign. So let's go ahead and unlock that. And start R&D on it. We'll hire the cheapest team because we're not even going to be testing it for a while. And we'll warp to there, and we'll certainly get to 150, so there's literally no point in not taking that. Sounding rocket high. We're not going to get there. So, whoops. Let's warp to you. Roll out. Line up for the launch. Okay, so what is this? An evening launch, I guess. And which way is it going anyway? Okay, that's going to be a southerly launch. So this time we'll pass Cuba. Hopefully not drop a rocket stage on Cuba. Okay, and my rule of thumb is from this zoom level approximately once it gets to the dot. So, late evening launch. Okay, and we're gonna set inclination 90. And go ahead and engage. Set that to, I think 110 actually is what we want. Fire it up, and away we go. thus far, the AJ-10-104D has not exploded and only had that one failure. Despite, I will point out, having quite a lot of data. It is nonetheless rather less reliable as a general rule than the LR-79, let alone those verniers. That MacJeb is incorrect. Oh, son of a gun, we were doing a south launch, weren't we? Oh, this is bad. I forgot. So I have to take manual control for a sec. Build up quite a lot of steering losses. Happily, it's only early on. Okay. That was not smart of me. Okay, doing a bit of manual fiddling here. Now we're mostly aligned with our target vector. Alright. And we lost 20 meters per second in steering losses. That's really not that horrible. Yeah, the minus sign means that it's going for a southerly launch. If there's no minus sign, it will go for a northerly launch. Because, of course, to get to a 90-degree orbit, there's two ways we can go from this launch site. So let's see how we're doing in terms of the orbital track. We are... Yeah, we want to go only 90, I think, because we want to actually come east a little bit before we cancel that speed. We'll cancel it once we get closer. Okay, and we're going to pitch up a little bit to hold steady with prograde indicator and burnout. We have a good light on the second stage. Pitch up so we have a reasonable perigee. Don't have much in the way of steering losses. 70. Alright. Now let's zoom out again, take a peek. Line it up, and we're just about in line. So let's go ahead and switch back to 90. Yeah, despite that problem early on, still lower steering losses than the last launch. By quite a bit. I think we need to pitch up a little bit more now. Okay, we've almost aligned, which means let's now kill our eastward velocity. Rather a bit more. Maybe not quite that obscenely. Pitch up a little to keep pushing apogee forward. Line up again. and narrowing in on 90 degrees. Okay, we've almost aligned our planes. Ascending note, less than 1 degree of difference. We're pretty much... Okay, so we're still a little bit west of the orbital track, it looks like. A little hard to say. Main point being, we're just about aligned right in terms of inclination. 0.4 degrees off 90. Pitch up a little bit more. Limit the gimbal even more. Oh, and I never decoupled my fairings. I was too busy aligning inclinations, so we actually are a little shorter than I would have liked on Delta V, but that's okay. I think we'll be fine. Awesome. We have SECO 1. We're off by 0.034 of a degree. Our ascending and descending nodes show up as 0. They've rounded to 0. So that is a spot-on ascent. 37.2 meters per second steering losses. That's acceptable. Now, we just need to change our periapsis at apoapsis, and we want 830. And that will bring us in line with the orbit. So let's go ahead and... Oh, we don't have a connection, so it doesn't matter. Good that we inserted before we totally lost any kind of signal. It may be some time before we have signal again. Because there ain't nothing in Antarctica, that's for sure. Oh, actually there is. I lied. Apparently there's McMurdo. Okay, well, that's interesting. Learn something every day. Let's find the maneuver node. Extend the antenna. Not sure why the clouds are misbehaving. Anyway, oh, we passed the maneuver node. Let's get back towards it. Okay, execute the node. And again, we're going to want to fire those RCS thrusters to give knowledge of the engine. Man, look at how low that drain rate is now. It's great. Okay, we have a good light. And we overburned by about 2 meters per second, which is a thing that I guess MacJeb tends to do at times. Okay. We completed the contract and got $22 million. Okay, so let's orient. Right about there is actually pretty good, all things considered. That will give us good lineup for the solar panels. Come on. There, they get up to 98%. Okay. So that's good. This stage is now discarded. We rename to debris. Accept. Switch back. And yeah, we successfully completed this mission. See if I can fix that scatterer issue. I think that may be scatterer. Yeah, that was scatterer. Okay. Maybe it was Eve. Doesn't matter which. It's fixed now. You fix that by zooming out all the way until scatterer unloads from the planet, and then you zoom back in again, and it seems fixed. So yeah, that completes another satellite contract. And happily, because that engine relights. Now, if that engine didn't relight, you saw it was only like 100 and something meters per second burn to actually circularize there. That's totally something that you could do with a controllable core and like a hydrazine thruster on it. You can easily put 500, 800 meters per second delta V on a controllable core and toss it. And then we'd be using that instead of our relightable engine if for some reason you didn't have an engine that could relight. But anyway, that I think will give you an idea of how to do satellite contracts and a simple launch vehicle that will do them. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.